Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
The fallout continues at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra after an audience member reportedly yelled a racial slur. It happened near the end of Friday's performance of Charlie Brown Christmas, Cyrus Chestnut and Friends. The orchestra hall has apologized for the incident and are trying to identify the person involved. Victor Williams joins us as concert goers are reacting to that incident.
Well, this seemed like a pretty good concert before all of this happened, but it's a shame that nowadays you can't even go to a show without a harsh reality creeping into the venue.
It just continues to make me uncomfortable. And this is a place that my wife and I, we go there often.
A show at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra interrupted by a racist outburst. Shocking news for Jeffrey Gissner and his wife Dion.
It just makes you on edge and it, puts your safety. You think about your safety in that environment as well.
I'm just happy that that was a day that I was not there, that we weren't there.
We're told during Friday's concert someone shouted a racial slur at the end of the show. The incident doesn't seem to have been captured on camera. Many details, however, are unclear, but the internet is reacting with comments that read, quote, "Last night I attended a truly amazing concert in many ways. It was something I waited my whole life to see. Unfortunately, for a brief moment, it also contained one of the most appalling and disgusting public incidents I've ever witnessed firsthand. It was shocking and disturbing, and when it happened, the crowd let out a collective gasp. The band paused for about a half a second and then carried on and continued to take us on a magical music journey." Another person wrote, quote, "I am so disappointed that this happened and totally disillusioned by people's behavior," end quote. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra released a statement which in part reads, quote, "Racism and bigotry have no place in Orchestra Hall and behavior like this is unacceptable. We are currently investigating and will enact a permanent ban once we identify the ticket holder."
I'm happy that he won't be able to attend any more concerts there anyways. I just think that there should be something a step further.
And the next show at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra will be this upcoming Wednesday. Victor Williams, Local 4.
Time now for a check of the weather. Rain and snow could move into the area this week. Brian joins us now with a look at the forewarned forecast. Hey, Brian.
Hey there, Pamela, and good evening, everyone. Yeah, not a bad day today. Just a tiny bit of sunshine, more clouds than anything. And we're going to continue that trend as we head into the first part of next week. Tower Cam looking at Campus Martius here. A beautiful and very tranquil view as you're heading outside toward the midnight hour tonight. Most everyone still holding into the mid-30s as of 11 o'clock, sitting at 36 right now here in Detroit, 35 Ann Arbor, 34 right now working over into Port Huron, and 36 over in Adrian. Just about everyone sitting into the 30s late tonight, checking in at 33 right now, Mount Clemens, 36 as you work over into Grosse Ile, 34 right now in Howell, and 35 as you work into the Big House over in Ann Arbor. Cloud cover holding tough for the entire state all day long today, save just a few breaks. And despite high pressure moving off to the east, that's going to be the trend tomorrow as well. Cloud cover all day long. Temperatures not moving a whole lot, only into the upper 30s by tomorrow afternoon. And we've got a few dry days to start the week before a stronger system with rain and snow on the way as we go into the second half of next week. I'll time out when you're going to need that umbrella and your complete forewarned forecast. That's coming up in just a few minutes. And with that winter weather on the way, good time to download that forewarned weather app. Exact Track 40, radar, future track, everything you need, and weather alerts in the palm of your hand. You can get it in your favorite app store. Just search WDIV.
A key suspect in the 1988 bombing of a Pan Am flight over Lockerbie, Scotland, is in U.S. custody. That terror attack killed 270 people, the majority of them Americans, including 16 people from Michigan. Officials say the Libyan man was charged by the U.S. 2 years ago for his involvement. The investigation is ongoing, and Scottish prosecutors are continuing to work with the U.K. government. The Lockerbie bombing remains the deadliest terror attack to have taken place in the U.K. Congressional leaders and the White House are struggling to reach a deal on a massive government funding package. Democrats and Republicans still have not agreed on top-line spending numbers that will fund the federal government through the fiscal year. that ends in September of 2023. The two parties are about $26 billion apart on domestic spending. Lawmakers warn that they will almost certainly need to pass a short-term measure to avoid a shutdown by the end of the week. The fate of the bill is also linked to an election overhaul measure to avoid another January 6th attack. A group of Midwest Democrats say their party has a flyover problem. Our Grant Herms talked with Debbie Dingell about what she believes could help solve that.
Republicans have long accused Democrats of being the party of coastal elites. And while Democrats have scoffed at those claims, some within the party are now pointing to just that, saying things need to change before 2024 to help the lives of millions of Democratic voters, not just in Michigan, but across the Midwest.
At the front of that push is Michigan Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who's been on a mission to change the party's mind that the Midwest is flyover country and instead needs boots on the ground. It's a push started decades ago by the late Michigan Senator Carl Levin, who wanted to move away from the smaller, less diverse early primary states.
Carl Levin recognized 30 years ago that those small states actually impacted what got considered in Washington. That's why it's important that the early states reflect the diversity of the country.
Dingell and other Midwest Democrats have been fighting to put their states on the radars of the party leaders, where most of the top brass is from the coast. But according to new reporting from Politico, that fight has been an uphill battle. Dingell even making this map of the home districts of the party leadership, mostly centered on the West Coast and Northeast. The map sent to the president as a wake-up call.
Today, we're starting a Heartland caucus. In 2016, I predicted that Donald Trump would win, and he did. President Biden said to me, there's no road to the White House that doesn't go through the heartland. He understands it.
But the work may be cut out for Democrats in those middle states, especially Michigan, after the DNC chose coastal South Carolina as the first in the nation primary. And recent polling showing only 1 in 4 Michigan Democrats want Joe Biden to run again, potentially leaving the door open for Republicans to step in.
Well, I think, look, we just have to work to make sure that our voices are part of the mosaic of what is at the table. I think we made the point.
Shifting gears as the political scene shifts to think about the next presidential election.
Now, there are a few things Dingell says that still need to happen, but she says the Heartland Caucus does have support from leadership within the party. In Detroit, Grant Herms, Local 4.
The playoff push continues as the Lions get a big win against a division rival. A sellout crowd this afternoon watched the Honolulu and Blue defeat the Minnesota Vikings. The win is the team's 5th in 6 games as they move closer to the chance at the playoffs. Jamie will have complete highlights and reaction from the big win coming up on Sports Final Edition. Still to come here on Local 4, turning pain into purpose.
I didn't know where to get help. When I tried to get help, nobody would help me. So I felt defeated. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I just have to stay in this.
Faith Green's fights, coping with the murder of her children at the hands of her ex-husband. How she's helping others next.